everybody, and welcome back to Duckpin Magic. I'm Mike Sello, with me Joe Ryan here, and today we've got the National Duckpin Youth Invitational, the boys bracket. And Joe, it's always good to see the young bowlers.
Well, we got 2 bowlers from the Connecticut area and 2 from the Baltimore area, and they're going to compete for a championship, Mike.
All right, we'll see who wins it when we come back in just a moment. Don't go away. Duckpin Magic continues right after these messages. Welcome back to Fairlanes Pikesville. Mike Sella and Joe Ryan here. Our first match featuring Danny Schreiber out of Baltimore and Patrick Cook out of Washington, D.C. And Joe, it's all these good to see the youth of America participating. And of course, we get excited about the National Duckpin Youth Championships because we get to cover it each year.
Yes, and it just shows you.
Shows you how well they bowl.
You see that? Were you paying attention, Mike? Danny sat with me for 10 games yesterday, keeping score, and Kenny Palmer happened to be on our lanes and shot close to 1,700, so maybe Kenny showed him a few ways of throwing strikes.
A couple of things there.
Patrick Cook out of Washington, 18 years old. High game of 207, Mike, and a high set of 483, averaging 129. Had a tough break there with the 7-9. I happened to be walking behind the stands, and I heard one of the girls that's going to bowl on the female portion of this, and she said, "I'm nervous." I heard her tell somebody. I said, "You're supposed to be nervous."
Not nervous, might as well forget it, right?
Yeah, stop bowling.
Patrick will have the third ball coming up. It's a student at PG Community College. He'll get to bowl a second frame as well. Beautiful facility here at Fairlanes Pikesville. And in the ensuing weeks, we'll not only see the girls' side of the championships be settled, as we've got North versus South, but in the ensuing weeks, we'll see a nice shot there. As 2 out of the first 3 frames, we come up with strikes. And of course, we'll take a look at it again here, Joe.
See the pin action, and it's been a busy couple weeks, Mike, on the, I guess you'd call it the west end of Baltimore County, with, you're going to get 7 pin remaining, but it's been a busy couple weeks with the Pro Tour, and of course the setting up for the TV, the Ladies Pro, what do they call it, the Grand Prix, and the Men's Masters, and they won at Westviews a couple miles down the road here at Pikesville, where the taping is taking place, and just pins flying all over. I'm not sure some of these pins didn't end up at Westview, and Westview's up here because they had them flying.
That's right. You'll see all that action in the ensuing weeks here on Duckpin Magic, as we've got the youth today, and next week the girls' side of the tournament. Then after that, we've got the men of the Duckpin Professional Bowlers Association with their Masters tournament, and then the women of the WNDA with their respective tournament called the Grand Prix, as Joe mentioned. So all of that upcoming in the next couple of weeks on Duckpin Magic, and we hope you enjoy all of the action, because we know you've got a lot of good bowling coming your way. So Danny Schreiber steps in, just 16 years of age. He's a student at Dundalk High School.
Tough break there, left the number 5, sort of threw it in front.
Just to reference people, these 2 bowlers, Joe, respective averages, 133 for Danny Schreiber, 129 for Patrick Cook. So got a couple of up-and-coming Duckpin bowlers, perhaps got the Pro Tour in their future somewhere along the way.
I tell you, the younger bowlers that are members of the Pro Tour, most of them are products of the National Youth Association. And these guys are just a few pins and a few years away from competing with us. Hope I'm still around when they...
Patrick bowling in the 3rd frame. He's got the 3rd ball coming up.
Where's Danny starting with the strike spare? A little 8-pin lead after 3 frames.
After these 2 young men are done bowling, we'll have Danny Church out of Connecticut taking on Kevin Repoli, also out of Connecticut. That's the northern bracket. And then the winner of this bracket takes on the winner of the northern bracket for the championship. Got a break there. He came back and left the head pin, but he's got a spare opportunity. See the butterflies there with that deep breath, trying to just calm himself down a little bit. Met for a few minutes beforehand with all the participants, and they were all very nervous. Didn't hear a peep out of them. As a matter of fact, I have said, "Does anybody have any questions? Anything?" And it was one of those silent, "Please let us get out of this room and go be nervous someplace."
You open your mouth and nothing comes out, right? Like we understand that.
Yeah.
Or too much comes out.
So Patrick sits down. Danny steps back in.
Get some pins flying. We get this crowd all excited.
Yeah. Doesn't take much.
I tell you, I think they actually started out a little looser than they are now. You know, sometimes when the show starts, it really hasn't registered that it counts, and then all of a sudden it's like, uh-oh.
What am I doing? Let's see what he does. Nice shot.
Pretty shot. Pretty shot.
Yeah, it won't take much to get the crowd into this. See some of the past participants of tournaments in years past. Here's Danny's shot again.
See the pin action. I mean, the cleanliness and the machine operation, Mike, has just been unmatched. It's
nice strike.
Pretty ball.
Got that big strike zone that you always talked about, Joe. You can go left of the head pin or right of the head pin. And this one is off to the left.
Watch the follow through and the extension. See that hand? See the turn on the ball? It's like 5 to 11. A little bit of a tight delivery.
Patrick, it's just to the right of the head pin. Well, Danny's come out and served notice here that he's not going to be fooling around too much. Get 2 strikes, 2 spares, open frame in between. Nice shot.
And he used the strike, Mike. As you see, he had the 20 in the first frame, a 10 count, then he struck on his spare. And that's, you know, when the strikes are sort of set every other frame and nothing happens in between, they're not worth near as much as when you can back them up.
And pulling the ball left a little bit.
And relax, loosen that arm.
Yeah, I thought he was, he had gotten over that a little bit with that nice spare that he picked up in the 5th frame. Back on target
ball.
there. Yeah.
Tough luck there. He'd like to have had that for the first ball. But if you watch your hand, you know, if you could take your arm out of the game, and that may sound a little ridiculous, but you deliver the ball with your hand, and when you tighten up and your hand and your arm and shoulder become one, it just doesn't work, Mike. You got it. It's like flipping a baseball. The arm's nice and loose and the hand's separate, and it's exactly the same, only of course it's underhand. Watch the looseness in Danny's hand. Can't think snap up over his.
Yeah. 9 count. He's got another ball yet to count on the strike that he had in the 5th frame. We'll let him throw this ball, and then we'll catch you up to speed on the scoring here thus far in the matches. We're in the 6th frame of our first match of 3 today. Off to the left a little bit. They'll have the 3rd ball to try to pick up the 10 count.
He hits that, Mike, he'll have a 24-pin lead after 6 frames, 94 to 70 for Patrick.
Each of the various areas held their own elimination tournament. Joe, we were talking before we started today, and these folks are the ones that survived that elimination and moved ahead. And in fact, some of these shots, you can see the beautiful facility here at Fairlanes Pikesville in the background, and some of the Pro Tour bowlers who are actually bowling and trying to bowl off to qualify for future weeks. Look at that shot. Beautiful shot by Danny Schreiber.
Yeah, I would imagine you had upwards of 250, 300 kids when you take the north and the south, the participation and the elimination.
So Danny continuing to put the pressure on here, although that was a nice ball.
Good ball. You see the breath once again. You just have to give yourself a positive command. Stay with it. Nice
Right
ball.
on target.
Nice ball. It's easy from back here, Mike.
Yep. Well, he seems to have settled down in the last couple of frames. He's been throwing the ball right where he wants it, and Now this is a big one because he's got a chance to
He's got to
make
throw
it
some
count.
pressure back on Danny, too. Get his mark in the 8th. Danny with only 2 opens through 7 frames. And the 10, well, you can see it on the monitor, the 10 is standing. So that is sort of an indication of what I call the stuffed shot, where the ball's just coming out of your hands. Your fingers are coming off of it at one time. It's no hand in the ball. And I'll tell you, when you get under the lights, you're a little more concerned about direction. You just
can be free-willing out there and letting the ball go.
It's tough. You know, the lights come on and it's like, ooh, everything tightens up. And all you could do with that, one with each ball. And a lot of talk, Mike, some surveys being run, and something for the people to think about. What would your opinion be if the game were to go to 2 balls?
Well, how about just 1 ball? Danny doesn't need any more than 1.
Well, as you see, it was strike, spare, spare, strike, spare, strike, and that's powerful counting. 124 plus in the 8th, and there you see it again. See, just good turns on the ball.
Yeah. Beautiful pin action off the side walls, and Danny Schreiber has his 3rd strike of the match.
You can isolate what you're watching and just watch the bowler's arm, and you'll see that it starts down without a yank. The shoulders stay in place. They don't rotate. And you sort of let the hand lead the shoulders, not the shoulders lead the hand. See if we get a good shot of this. Watch his arm. Comes down nice and smooth.
Watch out.
You see what happens, Mike. It's like hitting a golf ball. It starts down and the speed keeps increasing until, watch, right at the release, snap. That's not luck, folks.
Yep.
That's not luck. You
The
caused that
9-10.
to happen.
Down late.
See, his rotation is just a little different, and the head pin spit it out at the time. He's bowled well. You know, if he trips a pin and a little luck does come into play, and you get loose. But Danny hasn't let him up.
Yeah, it's tough. He jumped on him early, and
Well,
all the other factors you got to deal with when you're bowling on TV in a competitive situation. Your opponent jumps up and puts you down on the mat early. It's tough to get back up again.
Well, and it's a one-game situation, Mike. 10 frames, and anything
No
can
chance
happen.
for error. Yep. So Patrick will move over and bowl on lane 35 here at Fairlanes Pikesville.
Danny will be back.
Yep, Danny will be facing off against the winner of our next match.
Same thing. Looks a little bit like tough luck, but it's dissected the game a little bit. You get a little too pumped up sometimes, Mike, and the ball, he may be overthrowing it, and the ball's just not getting into the good roll. But he has had like 5 splits. Nice shot there.
Nice try, yeah. Patrick will be back. He's only 18. There's future opportunities here to bowl in this particular tournament, and certainly a lot of others as well coming his way. One thing about bowling and duckpin bowling, it's a lifetime sport. You can bowl until you don't feel like bowling anymore, really. We've got bowlers that are as young as 3 years old and 103.
I've been doing it all my life, Mike, and until I have to, I'm not gonna have to knock me down to get me out of here, I believe. 3 as he pulled that off to the left. 137 in the 8th. And have a nice game, Mike. Many, many years ago, I bowled with Danny's dad, John. We were both kids at the time.
And that's it. 166, 114. Danny Schreiber wins it. We'll advance, and we'll have our second match to find out who Danny bowls coming up right after this. Match number 2 today on Duckpin Magic. Kevin Repoli and Danny Church going at it for the right to meet Danny Schreiber in the championship of the boys' side of the National Invitational Duckpin Youth Championships. And Kevin's first ball.
4, 5, 7, Mike. Don't think he had too many 4, 5, 7s in his Bantam Division High single game of 225. Kevin's our youngest bowler today. We have 15, which he is, 16, Danny Schreiber. Danny Church, Kevin's opponent, is 17.
Both these young men carrying around some pretty good numbers as far as bowling statistics are concerned. Kevin Repoli, as you mentioned, 225 high game, high set of 474. Danny Church steps in now. He's a student at Southington High. High game of 200, high set of 502.
Big numbers. 134 average. That's a pretty good size number also. Nice delivery. If you watch, comes right through it.
Yeah, big high backswing. Might notice that they have their Connecticut travel shirts on. It's not a travel agency, that's the travel team in Connecticut from that particular bowling establishment. Happens to be T-Bowl that Danny bowls out of. In fact, it's T-Bowl Cheshire Lanes.
Like, it seems like every idea you come up with that involves the youth works. You put it together, you plan it, and you give them a special activity, whether it be a team event or singles events like this of this nature, and the national tournament, the state tournament, they show up.
Danny has the third ball coming up. And Kevin will step back in. Kevin, also a high school student at Manchester High School in Connecticut. Nice ball. Here's the 5. First chance for Kevin to pick up the mark here in the match. Second frame. One of the things I couldn't quite get acclimated to, Joe, in this particular house is that there's no step up or step down to the lanes. Everything is sort of a flat approach right from the back of the house to the front of the house. A little different as Kevin picks up the mark, but you'll be able to notice it as you take a look underneath the ball rack. There is no step. A lot of houses traditionally, yeah, you go either up or down.
Well, most bowling center design was done back in the early 50s, and it was, you separated the viewers or the spectators from the actual bowlers, and over the years those people have become one and the same. And I tell you, I bowl here on Monday nights in the league. I love it, absolutely love it. Like you said, it's just flat. You walk off, less chance of people stumbling.
Well, it's a little less formal too. There's no barrier when you're bowling, and there you go, nice shot. And as we've mentioned numerous times on this series of shows, Duckpin Magic, it's bowling is certainly a social game. So you want to mingle with folks that are sitting around, whatever, and they're right there with you. I mean, it's
I'll tell you something,
a different type of setup.
I don't know how many people have really thought about it. I know I have for years. We have children at younger ages bowling all the time, down to 3, 4 years old, especially at birthday parties. And they've got to step up that step. They pick a ball up, and it just scares me to death. No, we've eliminated this step, and it's very comfortable.
Danny slid it by on the right side. There you go.
Makes my shoulder hurt watching the guys taking ball up that high, Mike. Watch, he gets it completely, almost 360 when he finishes from top. 5 out of the middle.
A little tight on the head pin there. Winner of this match will face off against Danny Schreiber, who just won that match, throwing a fine 166 game.
Tough luck for Danny, who's hitting everything on the button this frame. We'll shoot for 2 more.
In fact, we have the champ from last year in the crowd, Chuck King. There's a nice shot.
Real nice 10.
And if I'm not mistaken, didn't Chuck win 2 years in a row on Duckpin Magic?
I believe he did.
Yeah, and he's here to lend support, maybe some advice. Who knows?
Good competitor. I mean, he's like a seasoned veteran at 22 years old. He has an edge. He really has not been introduced to losing, and I think that I believe it is an edge. You know you can win And he didn't bowl on the Pro Tour this year. He was eligible, and somebody told me, he said, well, I don't think I was ready. Well, and that's a pretty mature answer for a 21, 22-year-old kid to say, I just wasn't ready.
That's a 10 count for Kevin Repoli. Kevin's average 124.
19-pin lead, Mike, after 4. Five, 6, 7, 10.
Hey, all these youth bowlers that we've had display a lot of poise and maturity beyond their years, at least as far as the bowling goes.
Well, I tell you, Mike, it comes from the experience of bowling in tournaments, whether it be team, head-to-head, and especially the head-to-head. And the only thing they really lack is their first time under the lights, and it's different. 8 and 63 through 5 frames. Danny Church. Always 5th and 6th frames, and I tell you, he has an opportunity to turn things around, Mike, with a couple marks. Good ball, just a little tight. Left 3, 4, and 6. The way the pins move around here at Pikesville, you just shoot the 2 and hope something catches the rubber. You can squeeze it off tight, or you can slide it.
Like that, but just didn't get enough of a slide to.
Caught the front pin a little heavy. I think he's about ready to throw a strike.
Okay, let's see what happens as he moves over left-hand side. Lane 35, trailing in the match by 17, 63-46. Kevin Repoli over Danny Church.
Danny really has bowled ball for ball better than the 46 for 5 frames. How about that, Pete?
Well, let's take a look again. Joe predicted it, and this is what it looked like.
I had a little meeting with Danny, and I said 6 frame, throw a strike.
They're going to go down in 6, huh?
Kevin bounced right back. 9, leaving the number 7. 56 with the strike up for Danny. Kevin, 63 in the 5th, shooting at the number 7 for a spare. It's a big mark, believe it or not, with a 17-pin lead and your opponent with a strike in the 6th. You just don't want to make a mistake because you feel the footsteps, and Kevin did make a mistake.
Yeah, slid it by left, 3rd ball. We talk about that 3rd ball debate, whether the Duckpin game should be 2 balls or 3 balls. I know that Stacy Carton wears various hats, but he's also the publisher of the Duckpin News, is around taking a survey and taking people's pictures and going to put that into the newspaper in the coming months. What are some of the feelings? I mean, is there a
well, I tell you,
consensus,
Mike, I think people really need a little time to think about that. I can go either side. What will the bowler accept what's going to happen? I believe in one way it's going to affect us, the higher bowler, because when we throw the 3rd ball, we usually hit something with it. On the other hand, we don't throw the 3rd ball as often as the other. So what you're going to do, I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to change when you chop the middle or chop 2 off the side. It's going to change where you throw that next ball. You're not going to gamble with the whole side.
Have a lot to gamble with, right?
I would say the average professional bowler makes 5.5 to 6.25 marks per game. So he's only throwing a 3rd ball 4 times. But as I mentioned, we usually hit something.
Yeah, if you're hitting a couple of pins each time.
Well, I suppose, once a night it's usually 4 or 5 because you grip the middle and you shoot one side and the other side. So it would be interesting. There have been leagues that have tried this. And they said that it wasn't that drastic.
Back-to-back marks for Danny Church, strike spared.
And
things are tightening up.
7 down and a count. You can take the lead with this ball, Mike. So as you're listening, get in some conversations with your bowling friends and see what comes out of it. How do you feel? Would your league be willing to try it? Of course, we all know the good games won't be affected at all because you don't use the third ball too often. I don't know the effect on the 85 average bowler, Mike. That scares me. You know, can that bowler accept dropping to 72? See, Danny, 93.
Opportunity there to opportunity to even widen the gap some more with a mark. So we've got a good one going into the 8th frame as Kevin Repoli, he led most of the way, now finding himself behind in the match.
5-7 split. I tell you, Mike, in the conversation about the two balls, we have spent many dollars getting the Duckpin scores to where we have them. We have to face the fact, both as proprietors and bowlers, that the 5-man team that takes in excess of 3 hours takes a little fun out of the game also.
Tie match. 93-93 after 8 complete frames.
Is it our only answer to slow bowling? I don't know.
Seems like as we go through the years, everything gets slower. We're talking about slower football games, slower baseball games,
Slower golf.
slower golf.
Well, I can tell you it may have happened to bowling first, and if the people in the other sports do not do something about it, they're going to hurt. It's a tough, I'm not putting the blame on anyone for not handling it. I think as proprietors, it was our place to come up with an answer. But you're telling your customer, your consumer, what he has to do as you're taking the revenue from him, and that's not easy. The Bowlers Associations, I think it has to be a very cooperative venture.
Well, Kevin is through the 9th frame with 103. Danny has a chance to go up, put a mark on the board. If he does, that obviously will give him the lead in the match. He's got it.
There's a pressure shot.
Yeah.
103 to 93 and breaks a single. Hits it 103 plus as he bowls the 10th frame. And here's that 9th, 10th frame syndrome again, Mike, where I still believe it's an edge. There were a couple big pins he kicked out.
Yep.
He has Kevin on a mark. 109, 103 with Danny, of course, having a 6-pin lead. 4 big pins. I think you have to shoot, you see the 5, 6, 9, 10, and you sort of shoot at the 9 and hope to catch the 6 off the wall. Going to the left. 2 more pins, and Kevin will need 17 to win.
All right, so Danny Church has posted the lead. Actually, 15, right? So Kevin needs 16 pins. It's 118-103 right now, and Kevin bowling the 10th frame. So he needs a mark.
You see the deep breath. Someone has trained him.
Ooh, push through the middle. Nope. Go left side or right side? You shoot.
Personally, I shoot the left side because you have the 2-pin, you have the 9-pin in back of the cluster on the right, and you get it. You know, you have the chance of the deflection. If you shoot the right side, the 3-pin has nothing to hit. And there's another way to shoot it. And I'm not being funny when I say that. You just try to slap it off the wall, and there you see a tough finish with a 5-frame 108. And
that's it. Danny Church taking on Danny Schreiber for the championship when we return right after this. Danny Church taking on Danny Schreiber for the championship. Somebody said Danny will win this match. We just don't know which one, right?
Yep.
Danny Schreiber, who had a fine 166-114 win in his first match of the show today, gets a strike. Had to be a little patient for it, but he got it, and that's the same way he started out his last match.
Just woke the crowd up.
Yep, we'll take another look.
I would imagine that he has a few more rooters here than Danny Church. Danny Church being from Connecticut. Of course, here we are in Baltimore. West Baltimore, right off the Beltway.
Danny Church had to come from behind against Kevin Repoli to pull it out. Strike spare and another spare, 3 out of the last 5 frames to win it.
One of the toughest shots in duckpin bowling. 278. Doesn't look that tough, but there are so many. You just cannot make it without luck. Like that. But then, you know, most people don't shoot it that way, Mike. They shoot the outside of the 2-pin, hoping to use a closer wall. I personally think it's made many more times that way. Yep.
So mark a 10 down for Danny Church, and a nice 10 at that. Frame number 2. Make a little spare break opportunity here.
I think right here he's probably thinking to himself, I need to deliver a good ball. I need to do it properly. I need to execute. And he, see the turn on the ball, how it's through the pin to the left. Amazing what happens 60 feet away, how quickly it happens. And another 10, 20 through 2. Danny Schreiber went against my wit and chose to bowl first, which would make him finish last.
Yeah, get off the big enough lead, I guess doesn't matter.
Well, he was successful the first time, 166, so 4 strikes, 3 spares, and counted all his marks well, except the double, sort of pulled it off the left side, but real nice game. 1-6 remaining. Covered to number 1.
Hit it head on.
That's what you're trying to do at that point. Make sure you hit it.
Right on the nose.
They're both head on.
Yep. Takes a 9-pin lead after 2 frames.
Danny Schreiber, 16, Dundalk High School. Junior high set of 550, Mike. 550. Just waiting for the balls to return.
Both these, yeah, Pete, we're going to take a pause here. Danny Schreiber also has a high game of 198 to go along with that high set of 550, and Danny Church 200 game and 502 sets, so both bowlers over 500, and that's why right there.
Let me tell you, 550, and to look and see that he doesn't have a high game of over 200 with a ball as powerful as this, sort of is unusual. 550 is quite a set, Mike.
Yeah.
Good ball.
Tickled 5, doesn't go over, and Danny Church's got to feel a little bit better about things there. He just saw his opponent just blow 10 pins into the pit as 1 behind in the match, and gets a good ball, and let's see if he can pick up the spare.
I'll tell you, all things indicate a good match with Danny Schreiber at 133 average, Danny Church at 134.
And Danny picks up, Church that is, picks up his first mark, spare in the 3rd frame.
We all know in a 1-game match, head-to-head, that an average means nothing. Sort of who can swallow the smoothest and get the breathing down. And there's something that doesn't show on the scoreboard, but it's, I call it a ball that he just didn't get away with. You know, he pulled it a little left. Had he thrown it worse, more to the left, he'd have broke 7 or 8. Been easy to forget about. Now it shows up on the score sheet as a 2, which looks horrible. Oh my.
Look worse than that. Let's see, he goes through the hole a couple of times. And here's Danny Schreiber, ready to break this one wide open.
He could throw a knockout punch here.
Well, little pumped up that
So
time.
there's what I was saying about Danny Schreiber got away with it. Danny Church chopped 2 and ended up with a 2 frame, and it's like I say, those are things that it shows up on the score as 2 on and 2 out, but it doesn't tell the whole story. "24-pin lead for Danny Schreiber if he hits this pin." Okay, 23. Of course, Danny Church used to being behind. He spent 6 frames behind in the last match and caught up. Matter of fact, he was, what, 19 behind the same time. Now he's 23, so.
Danny Schreiber trying to throw the ball a little too hard at this
Well,
point.
you know what happens, Mike? The adrenaline's flowing. He was looking for a knockout punch. The man just had a 2 frame, and Danny's on a strike saying, "Let me at him."
Yeah, put another one on the board, and this one's over.
And if you watch Danny's style, he sort of plants his left foot, and if you get a little fast, you're going to pivot on that foot, and the shoulders and everything are going to fly out of socket, and you don't get the nice pendulum swing and the good rhythm. Spare. 5th frame for Danny Schreiber. Danny Church got to make something happen. Stop the bleeding, as they say.
Well, we've seen him pick this up.
Not many
spare, but
happening his way.
No.
You know, he's had this shot twice. He chopped 2 off the left side, and be a big boost to make this. Nice try. Nice try.
of course, this is the championship match for the boys bracket of the National Youth Duckpin Invitational Championships. We've got the girls bracket coming up next week. 4 more bowlers, youth bowlers coming your way. Melissa Wright, Martha Cifalilli, Amy Bisson, and Jiffy Shipman. Those 4 bowlers are folks that you'll see next week. So Danny Church has got to get things back under control here.
A little trouble getting in the groove. A little pull again to the left. That's a nice shot.
Yes, just missed too.
That's where he'd like to get the first ball. Tell you, Mike, under the pressure, one of the toughest things for these bowlers to do, and I still think it's the #1 thing that a bowler does wrong, and it's lean forward from the waist. And when you're as young as these particular bowlers, they can do that because they have the flexibility.
Watch out. Oh.
In their
10-pin.
bodies, you know, but you've really got to sit back, and I think Danny Church is I call it lunging a little. He's getting his head out in front of his knee, and just tough to get through the ball, which is causing that pull. I think I did that yesterday for about 100 frames.
Yeah.
Nice shot.
Trouble is, now you can feel that you did it for.
Yeah, I hurt all over.
Couldn't tell yesterday, but today you can tell.
Well, and I'll tell you, sometimes you do know. You just can't make your body do it.
No one can accuse Danny Schreiber not being aggressive out on the lanes. He's going after it.
He's got that nice snap. He's got a good rhythm, and if you watch, you can do a lot of things wrong if you can keep that arm swing smooth and hit it at the bottom, which Danny's been able to do. If you watch, Danny does what I was speaking about, and as far as he bends from the waist, but he doesn't stick his head way out in front. You know, he's not really leaning. He's squatting and setting forward.
All right, Danny Church steps in, trailing by a bunch here.
Time to turn it on.
Well, got a little bit of break there, and certainly can pick up the spare with a well-thrown ball here.
You make 4 marks the next 4 frames, and we still might have a little battle.
Yep, it's going to make it tough.
10-62 and a 39-pin lead for Danny Schreiber through 7.
Over onto lane 35 goes Danny Church, student at Southington High School.
Give him a break. Get up. Oh. 5-7.
Danny had rough in the last match as well. Ended up with a 118, but a number of times should have gotten more out of the ball when properly delivered.
One thing he has to look forward to when he's finished this game, win or lose, he'll have 30 or 40 people telling him exactly what he was doing wrong. And hey, little luck there. He bounced one back for a 10. It's really not what you want to hear after you bowl a game like this. Just, you know, buy me a Coke, but let's not talk about bowling right now.
Okay. Danny Schreiber off the left side. As Joe mentioned, because he's from the Baltimore area, has a few more rooters here. And here about there. What a shot. Ooh. What I meant about being aggressive. He knew that he had to flirt with that head pin in the hole, and he went through it and picked it up.
See that hand come through. That's probably the most impressive part of Danny Schreiber's game. That hand finishes up. No hesitation. The arm swing, it comes right through. It's no guiding at the bottom or cutting it off, as we say. Watch this one more time. Black and white ball, you get to see the rotation on the ball real well. He's got a good sized hand. He wraps it all the way around that ball. 9 more.
Yep. 120 after 8 for Danny Schreiber. 72 for Danny Church. Full 8 complete frames. Missed it that time. So he'll either finish up with the 129 or a 130, depending on whether he picks up this pin.
See the nice knee bend, as we pointed out when we watched the pros bowl, that it's one thing that all good bowlers have in common, and that's a good left knee bend if you're right-handed, and of course the right knee bending if you're a left-handed bowler. Danny Church is not quite staying with it. If you watch, he's sort of completed his slide and approach, and he's not still at the release. Let's see if we pick it up this time. You have to be still when that ball comes by that left ankle. That time he was.
Well, good
result. Results.
Yep. First mark in this match for Danny Church. Goes over to lane 35 to bowl frame number 10. I'm sure he'd like to finish up strong here too.
Nice and still again. Amazing, isn't it?
Yep. 9 count on the mark.
Get a copy of this tape. And, you love watching the tapes when you bowled well, but I tell you, you learn when you watch the ones when you didn't bowl too well. 101 if he hits this pin.
Well, we have a new champion, Danny Schreiber of Baltimore, Maryland. Nice hand for Danny Church as he finishes up. And Danny Schreiber will assume the mantle that Chuck King has had for the last couple of years.
I think the only way we got rid of Chuck King was graduating.
That's right. He had no choice in that matter, right? Danny laying on the pins here.
Watch the stillness. See it? Nice and still, and the hand comes through. And pins look like he knocked down 15 pins, Mike.
So a crowd on hand to watch the action here as these two gentlemen battle it out for the National Youth Invitational Championship off the right side. Well, that's the time to do it when you're ahead by 30 pins and in the last frame.
148.
So Danny Schreiber wins it 148-101. We'll be back to wrap things up coming up right after this. Welcome back to Fairlanes Pikesville in Baltimore, Maryland. We have our 2 finalists, our champion and our runner-up. And Joe, you've got a presentation.
Sure do.
Danny Church, second place. Danny, congratulations. I know you'll be back. I know it was disappointing for you, but it's a little tough out there under those lights. Congratulations.
And now our champion, Danny Schreiber.
Danny, you only averaged 156 for those 2 games, but quite a performance, and I'm sure we'll be seeing more of you. Congratulations.
All right, thanks very much, Danny Church. Danny Schreiber, congratulations. Thanks for joining us. Joe, we'll see you again next time on Duckpin Magic. For all of us, thanks for joining us. See you next time, everybody.